During the regular season, the Seahawks relied upon a running game as their identity. They led the entire NFL with over 2,500 rushing yards. While they averaged an impressive 4.8 yards per carry, during their wildcard game against the Cowboys, their prolific run game fell apart. They were only able to manage 2.8 yards per carry on the ground. During this match, the Cowboys defense flowed to their gap responsibilities and they shut down almost every single run before it started. A big reason for that simply had to do with their superior front seven. Throughout a large portion of the game, the Cowboys purposely used their defensive line to attack the backside of the Seahawks blocks while they used their speed at the linebacker position to make plays. It was a very effective strategy, and the Seahawks never adjusted, which was a big reason why they ended up losing. Fast forward a week later, and the game between the Rams and the Cowboys featured a very different story. Unlike the paltry 2.8 yard average, the Rams dominated the line of scrimmage. They ran for over 6 yards per carry. Going through the film, I had one big question that I wanted answered. Why were the Cowboys so successful against the Seahawks, yet the Rams trounced this defense the following week? My first big takeaway after tracking all the runs in both games was just how incredible the Rams' offensive line was in this game. They've been phenomenal all season long, but in this game in particular, they were even better. According to my tracking, the Rams' offensive line created over 4 yards per carry on their own. They constantly blasted open huge holes for Gurley and Anderson. On multiple runs, the Cowboys linebackers were so far out of position that it made it very easy for the Rams' offensive line to make their second level blocks. Take this outside zone run with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. It's 2nd and 1, and the Rams line up in single back with 3 receivers while putting their tight end on the backside of the formation. Meanwhile, the Cowboys were in a 4-2-5 over front where Anthony Brown entered the box as the third linebacker. After the snap, the Rams' offensive line initiated their double teams. They have one between the center and the left guard, while they also have one on the backside between the right guard and the right tackle. Starting with the front side, the center John Sullivan attempted to reach block the one-tech nose tackle, but the defender was still able to get the front side of his block. Meanwhile, on the backside of the play, right guard Austin Blythe used his hands to violently twist the shoulders of the backside 3-tech. Combine this with the clear miscommunication between Jalen Smith, who thought he had the frontside B gap instead of the backside A gap, this created a huge hole in this defense. Anderson rumbled forward and made his way 15 yards down the field. This was an easy run, and both him and Gurley had gains like this all day. Check out Gurley's touchdown run in the second quarter. This one went for 35 yards, and the blocking made it so much easier for the running back. Look how big this hole was in the offensive line. The Rams ran outside zone to the strong side of the formation. On this play, they featured a sift block from the tight end, while they also used an orbit motion from the wide receiver to help confuse the linebackers. Immediately after Gurley took the ball, the hole between the left guard and the left tackle opened like the Red Sea. First, watch the center's block on the nose tackle. He pushes him 5 yards down the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, since the Rams used a sift block, Leighton Vander Esch was in the wrong gap. He was supposed to be in the backside A gap, but he didn't adjust after the motion in the backfield. Once again, this miscommunication created a huge hole in the center of the defense. Todd Gurley only had one guy to beat 15 yards down the field before he escaped for the 35-yard touchdown. As I discussed in my Todd Gurley video earlier this season, the Rams love using these types of sifts and motions in the backfield. It causes a lot of confusion in the defense. On their 39 runs against the Cowboys, the Rams use a pre-snap motion on 32. The majority of the time they use a tight end that crosses the formation, but they also use wide receiver motions as well. Additionally, the Rams love using sift and jet action, and they use it on 16 of their runs in this game. Outside of motions and misdirection, another reason why this scheme is so deadly is based on the personnel alignment of the blockers. It creates advantageous angles for the offensive line. It also gives them some of the lowest stacked box percentages in the entire NFL. Throughout the season, the Rams averaged a stacked box or a box featuring 8 or more defenders on just 8% of Gurley's runs. This is the lowest in the NFL for running backs who have more than 200 touches. Compare that to the Seahawks, where Chris Carson faced a stacked box on 21% of his touches. Now, it must be said that formation alignment is what creates these advantages, but obviously having an offensive line as good as the Rams, along with their misdirection in the backfield, it definitely makes things easy. While I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the passing game, considering that Goff had less than 200 passing yards, the same misdirection and motion definitely helped him make throws. There were a number of passes where he had a wide open receiver, or simply by play design his first read was open. In my opinion, if the Rams can continue getting Brandon Cooks one-on-one opportunities going forward, they'll have success passing the ball. He was a valuable target in this game, even though he didn't break 100 yards. Then, when you add in Robert Woods on the opposite side, the pair can do some serious damage. I really wish they still had Cooper Kupp, because this offense would be even harder to stop with him on the field. He's such a good slot receiver, but they still do have enough talent to make a Super Bowl run. While you can definitely point to the Rams' running game as the reason why they won, I have to point out just how terrible the play calling was for the Cowboys. This was a big reason why their offense suffered in this game. The number of first down rushing attempts was way too high. On your screen, you'll see a comparison of first down rushes between the Rams and the Cowboys, and you can easily see who was more dominant. The terrible part was the Cowboys attempted passing plays on first downs, and those were pretty successful. They averaged 14 yards per attempt, yet they kept handing the ball to Zeke. He averaged just 1.7 yards per carry in first down attempts, but he was given 12 of them in this game. Now, I do understand focusing on what made you successful during the regular season, but you have to adapt. It clearly wasn't working this game, but even down by 13, Zeke still got 6 first down carries. Can you guess how many yards he gained on those touches? I'll give you a hint. It's closer to 0 than it is to 5. He gained 1 full yard on his 6 touches, but they kept plugging it to him anyways. Now, if you know me and my work by now, you'll know that I don't exactly like the Cowboys. I grew up in DC as a Redskins fan, but purely as a football enthusiast trying to stay objective, this is just terrible. We just watched the Seahawks literally do the same thing as the Cowboys, but they in turn committed the same exact fatal error against the Rams. I don't get it, and I doubt I ever will. To wrap up this video, I saw 3 main reasons why the Rams were able to beat the Cowboys. First, the run blocking was absolutely ridiculous. The offensive line on their own averaged over 4 yards per carry. Second, the misdirection and schematic designs created natural advantages against this defense. They had very low stacked box rates. The Saints' front 7 will have to be very mindful of this in their game planning. Finally, and this is very important as you already know, the Cowboys kept running the ball even though it wasn't working. The good news is that something tells me that Sean Payton won't fall into this trap, but make sure you look out for this weekend as we should see some better football. Well, that's all I got for you in this one. As we wrap up the final weeks of the season and get close to the Super Bowl, make sure you sign up at MyBookie to place all your wagers. They are still offering a 50% sign-up bonus for up to $1,000. Go ahead and sign up using the promo code Samuel50. Thank you so much for all of your support and for watching my videos so far this season. I have a lot of content coming out for you for the NFL draft, so make sure you keep a lookout for that. Also, if you want to keep this channel going, make sure you check out my Patreon account, and you can follow me on my Twitter at Samuel R. Gold.